Welcome to All Things in the Name of Love. If you like this show, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks. Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. And today I have with me Neal Fisher, who reached out to me recently, and I read his bio and I was like, ooh, this is going to be a fascinating conversation. So among other things, you have a whole system called the Unified Man, and I want to talk a little, like one sentence about it, of bridging the gap between the conscious and the subconscious. And I love that because I am a deep dive digger into the subconscious and love seeing what comes up. And so I want to talk to you about that journey of like how you came into that space where you're able to bridge the two.
Well, it's like my story is your story. It's all of our stories, Sophia. It's the archetypal hero's journey. Anybody that has any ambition or any connection with their heart and their internal compass. I mean, they're going to go out into the world and they're going to try and they're going to try hard. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. We all try hard. We normally start early too. And you go out there, you go and try and slay some dragons, and then guess what? You just get slain yourself. And that's what happened to me is that, my early 20s, I went out, I borrowed all this money, tried all these businesses. And because of my own basically gluttony and narcissistic grandiosity, there was a big downfall. And it led to the internal painful odyssey of self-discovery. And
Mm.
that's what's necessary for all of us. None of us will ever change, will ever change and take up that call of the conscience until we've experienced enough pain, until we realize that the bandages only hide our wounds. It's us that must heal them.
I agree with that. Yeah, because I've had that. I was gifted with codependency and trauma, and the curiosity of why there's separation because it didn't make sense to me. I spent 14 years in college trying to figure out what makes separation.
Mm.
And then I realized after much humbling um, that academia is not the way to go to understand what separation truly is because it's within us. And
100%, mate.
yeah, and
I
so
couldn't
like
agree more.
so finding that out and finding it within because it never made sense as a kid. Like I was animals still are my friends. I don't see them as animals. They're my friends. Trees are my friends. Rocks are my friend. Boulders are my friends. They just corrected me. So I don't see even my car talks to me. So like that illusion of like somehow because you're in Australia and I'm in Oregon, there's some degree of separation. No, there isn't. I feel your heart. I feel your resonance.
100%. 100%. I mean, it's like the Aztecs called it the Maya, the illusion. All of this physical plane, it's not it's an illusion, but it's not that it's not real, it's just not what it appears.
Hmm.
We can only see with our five physical senses, like that much. We can only sense and detect, and we get so caught up in this physical plane that we realize that there are unseen forces. And I mean, if you're a hardcore atheist scientist and you want proof of unseen forces, just get two magnets and play around with that for a couple of hours and think about that. I mean, there are forces that are at work that we don't necessarily have to understand because they're not logical, they're not rational.
Hmm.
They logic and ration is a derivative of that deeper intelligence of intuition.
Hmm.
That's why intuition is so much more powerful and why it doesn't make sense to us is because it's operating on such a higher level that is outside of our natural our five senses. And that's why it's always superior to logic and rationale. Don't get me wrong, like our thinking brains are fantastic, and but the thing is we become aliens because all we do is use our brains. We disconnect from our body. So
Hmm.
all of that's a derivative of the rationale. And I forget where I was going with that, something important. But anyway, I know this much. You're talking about separation. It's the same thing with every single problem in life. Separation, that division, and all problems in the whole world, every single problem, pain, all of it comes from one singular source, whether it's a brutal dictator, an environmental catastrophe, a humanitarian crisis, a broken family, depression, anxiety, loneliness. All of them, they come from that separation, and that separation within ourselves, that division in our minds. We have, is it going to be this or this? This dualistic attitude that we take towards saying, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. I've got to be creative and I've got to be intellectual. you know, it all just comes back to really unifying your mind and your body. And then
Mhm.
from there, you actually get that clarity, and then you can actually get that connection with source consciousness and allow, the spirit to come true. Because we talk about our soul. You don't have a soul. You are a soul.
I agree with that. It's funny because every morning I do this practice where I tune into that. I ask my soul what it wants to tell me because my soul is me, but it's the deeper part of me rather than just relying upon my head brain. Um, and I get these amazing comments. I'm like, wow, that's wow. Because it's the me that is me that's reminding me to look past the subconscious programs to see the deeper level of who I am.
Yeah, damn straight. You just
Yeah.
reminded me what I meant, what my story before, where I was going with it, is the reason why it's hard for us to trust intuition is because it only ever gives you the next step. When we look for rationale and analyticism, where we want to see the end result, we want to see the start and we want to see the finish. But
Mhm.
the problem is that takes us out of the present moment. So
Right.
thinking about what's going to happen in 2 weeks' time or tomorrow is irrelevant because it's not present right here in the moment. It's not going to help you to be and do and think and exude and execute the right actions here and now. That's why it's hard to trust our intuition, because it's smarter. It knows that we only need to be in this present moment, so it
Mhm.
only ever gives us the next step. It
Right.
gives us a feeling to move in that direction because all we need is that next step,
Mhm. No,
which
I
is
completely
confusing for
agree.
us.
I completely agree
So
because,
once you do
like,
that, and then you get the next one and the next one, and it's
right,
because it's smarter. It's so much smarter.
for me, one of the byproducts of me being a sensitive child and perceiving traumas, um, I developed my future casting skills. Like visionary. Wow, amazing what I can see. And the
Mm.
balance and I'm an historian. So I've mastered the future and the past. And it's just funny that I've had that journey because now when I tune into myself, if I think anything past the moment, I hear, "What do you need now?" Like, "Okay, what do I need now? I need nothing. In this moment, I need nothing. So why am I looking past this moment for anything outside of now?" And it's been this really fascinating journey to tame those two aspects of me that were I've mastered those two aspects.
I love that. And it's so true because I think, it's a product of the civilization, as you said,
Mhm,
byproduct. We all just, nothing happens by accident. It's all by design to keep
mhm,
one foot in the past, one foot in the future. Because guess what? Then that just tears us apart. It tears us from this present moment, from our power, from our hearts, from our true being, from our peace. And that's ultimately what you get from being present is
mhm,
peace. And the irony is, it's like the ego. I mean, myself, like I said, it was narcissistic grandiosity was the keystone of my first downfall. Don't worry, there was
mhm,
another one that came after it. But the ego wants power. It wants
mhm,
ultimate power, and there's nothing wrong with power. Power is our ability. I mean, I'll tell you right now what the meaning of life is. What's the meaning of life? There is no meaning. It is just beautiful. It just expands. But I can tell you the purpose of life. Look at every single organism. I mean, the answers are obvious when you look at life itself. I want to change my life. What is life? Life is a respiring, functioning organism. Every single organism. I'm looking out my window right now. The trees, the birds, the lizards, all that shit. They all grow as big and as powerful and as expansive and as influential as they possibly can. That's the meaning of life,
mhm,
is growth. And
mhm,
how this ties back to the ego is that we want power. It's a good thing. We're supposed to be strong, but we get caught up in all those future moments and all this bullshit that we stick in our heads. The only way to actually achieve ultimate power for the ego is to actually let go. When you
mhm,
let go and you actually are humbled and realize that you're a channel for the universal power, the ego ultimately wins by letting go, and it gains that absolute. So, like
Mm,
anything, it's dualities, paradoxes. It's a mysterious universe that we live in, but it's a
that it
beautiful
is.
one.
Yeah, it truly is. I know for a fact that I came back because I love this planet is amazing.
Isn't
Like
it?
hands down, like so gorgeous. Like everywhere I've gone, and I haven't gone as many places as I want to, but the ones I've explored, whew, just divine. And then the food. The food's pretty amazing. I just so like my soul's like Indian. I really like Indian food. So I got to come back for that. It's just funny because I laugh at myself when I watch things come out and like learning how to integrate all the aspects of my beingness. Um that's been fun because there are parts where I've thought like guilty like I have um my beautiful, I call her the grand old dame. She's a 2004 BMW 325 Xi. She's a 6 shift winter package, a whole thing. I love listening to
Hell
her.
yeah.
I love listening to her roar. I mean, she's just fun to drive. And I love sitting and meditating with a cedar.
Hell yeah.
So,
Hell yeah.
like, there was one point of me recently looking at these aspects going, how do I reconcile these? And I don't have to.
Amazing. You just said it there. That's why we're torn. We're trying to always plant a flag in one particular camp. It's like, no, 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 we're a universal being. We're supposed to have it all. And
Mhm,
I love what you said about, the meditating with the cedar and then, the fast car that burns all these petrochemicals. I love that shit. I really do. And the food thing, right? I mean, the reason we enjoy food so much is, we take it for granted. And most of the food we eat now, it's not even food, it's recycled industrial waste. So we take it for granted and we don't actually appreciate and understand what it really is. I mean, the nature of life is death. I mean,
mhm,
you have to be thankful. It's like there's been a sacrifice made here. Every single meal that I eat, every single meal has been a sacrifice. And I need to be grateful for that and present with that and really, really feel that nourishment and that energy that I'm gaining. Like,
mhm,
and here's the thing. I mean, when we die, we become food. So
mhm.
the cycle continues.
Yeah.
And so and like you said, the reconciliation, it's another division, heart or mind. Do I be strong? Do I be weak? Do I be the brute or do I be the soft prince? It's like, no, it's all about amalgamation. It's all about that unification, all aspects, all in one. And it's just the overcomplication, just the shit that we get brain force fed that just tears us apart.
Yep.
It's really not that complicated. And that's what I do. I'm not here to give people information, although the information is going to flow. What's
Mhm.
most important is energy, giving people energy, and the implementation to get them powerful.
I completely agree with that because I had a discussion recently with somebody who was really great at philosophizing, but not really good at embodying the philosophy. And for me, like I want to fully embody what I've learned because then I don't have to think about it anymore. It just is.
Mm.
And so one of my processes is I've done somatic healing a lot and I've mastered the art of dealing with triggers. And so when I have a trigger now, I will just stop the conversation and I'll feel. And that makes people very uncomfortable. But I want to be present to what that is in me so I can feel the feelings to it so then I can release it.
Yeah.
And and if it makes others uncomfortable, it's probably because they haven't given themselves permission to do it themselves.
Yeah, life's a mirror. I mean, it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. Anything outside, anything external that gives you the willies, that gives you an uncomfortable feeling, it's because there's a part of yourself that you're denying, or that's a reflection of a shadow within you. As you're aware, I mean, we have all these shadows that we're not even aware of because they're behind us. It's a shadow, and it's the
Mhm.
same with our true center of self. We can't see it because it's not in front of our eyes. It's behind our eyes. It
Mhm.
is behind our minds. It is that central seat of experiential awareness that is housed in the center of our skull. And like what you talk about, when triggers come up, when your thoughts come up that you don't like. There is no like positive or negative thoughts. There is no positive or negative feelings. There are just thoughts and feelings that
Mhm.
come through, the thought stream and the feeling stream. And they are powerful and they are valid, but you have to be objective as possible and be able to witness them and know when it is just part of the stream. And okay, not being so attached to it. Detachment means doesn't mean that you don't feel it. It means that you're not like jumping into it, and you're able to, understand within yourself why these things are happening. And I put
Mhm.
it to people like this: the thought stream and the feeling stream, it is exactly that. It's a stream. It's like being in a creek. You're in a creek, a river, and it's flowing. There's sticks, there's logs, and they're all touching you. All these logs and shit, sometimes a turd might float past, and that's going to touch you, and yucky. The trick is because you're in them, you're in the thoughts, you're in the feelings. You need to get out of the river, step back from your mind and become that observing party. Sit on the bank, and then you can just watch all the sticks and the leaves and all the shit just flow past. And none
Mhm.
of it can touch you then because you're not in the river. You're not
Right.
in the stream.
Right. Yeah, I love that because, like, when we get caught in those thought forms, my favorite part of it is, like, when I have that awareness kick in, that I see the behavior or the thought form, and then it's like, "Cool. I just got to see." And which is kinda strange. It was like, sometimes it's like some sort of perception of my inner child that, like, was really messed up, but there is a part of me that, like, "I found you. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I found you. So now I can be present with you and let you be because
Yeah.
now that I see you, you don't have to run me anymore." And it's such a space of, well, it's a shift in how we perceive things for sure, but that space of, like, relief almost when you find another part of your subconscious
Yeah.
that
That peace, that understanding, that connection with self. It's like because we're always looking outside, we're always trying to be someone else, and it's like
Mhm,
I went through, my personal trauma, processing and understanding, sexual trauma as a young child, and going through all that process. And luckily for me, I've always had great role models around me, everyday people, not role models on the internet. I mean, I
mhm,
still always had those great teachers and leaders, but actual, real,
mhm,
strong, powerful
yeah,
men from the old world. These
mm,
were men that didn't exist in cyberspace. They didn't have social media or any of this goggly goop. They
mhm,
were hardworking, real men that lived from the earth and came from the earth.
mm,
And one of the most powerful things that he that he's talked to me about, because he knows of my ambitions and wanting to be that great man. And he said to me, David Ware, he said, Champ, that was my nickname, Champo. He goes, Champo, because we talk a lot about what do you call it, mythology and things like that, and
mhm,
ancient characters. And he'd said, all those people, you see all those people, you know what they were written about? Why they're written about, why we remember them, is because they were being themselves. They were
mm,
being their true selves. So if you want to be written about, if you want to be impactful, you want to be remembered, just be yourself.
mm.
and,
That's
and it
so
sounds so
beautiful.
corny. It is beautiful because it sounds corny because we don't understand, because the person we're being now, we're not actually being ourselves. So we think, be myself, be myself. But the person you're being right now is less than. You're inadequate. You are not good enough, to be honest. I mean, to be frank, and you can tell by your self-talk. The
Mhm,
reason why your brain, your attitude might be shit, or you have lack of self-confidence or self-worth, and all this torture that we all go through and have to go through, is because it's being accurate. It's because you're not obeying that call within your conscious. You're not
mm,
obeying, that pain within your chest, your solar plexus in your heart, that is telling you to expand, to shed that light, and to let go of all those false constructs.
mhm,
As soon as you can, amalgamate all that and actually really be yourself, the brain turns around automatically. And you do that
mm.
with the foundations, which is working on the body.
Right. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about that because I understand it through the process of somatic healing. So what is your process about that?
Well, mine is actually basic. It's not like some practitioner. It's really basic shit. I mean, our fundamental, our foundation in this reality, it sounds complex, but it's basic. Our foundation in this reality, I mean, we are so much more than the physical plane, but
Mhm.
we are based in the physical plane. I mean, look at
Right.
our bodies, our physical prowess. The reason why we have anxiety, depression, all this crap going on in our head is because we aren't using our bodies properly. We aren't actually, physiologically enlivening ourselves because the mind is a derivative of the brain organ. If you aren't training, if you aren't exerting your physiology, you're not actually using your brain properly in its full capacity. If
Mm,
you're malnourished, if you're toxic, if you have all these poisons in your body and don't have the proper building blocks for that brain organ, you're going to have mental problems because it is a derivative of that physical structure, even
mhm,
though we can lord over it over time. So you need to have that body, clean food, clean water, deep breathing, movement, exercise, stretching. If you have sleep problems, you just need to go and do some serious, serious working out. And I mean, I heard it the other day, fatigue is the best pillow. Like, and here's the
yeah.
thing, that's how we clear up our minds. It's
Mhm.
not mind over matter, it's matter over mind.
Mm,
It's like a car being towed. There's a time lag. Once you start using your body, it takes this is the mind, this is the body. You start working out, you start exercising, you just start walking, you just start doing something basic. It starts moving and then it starts to tow, and then the mind will catch up with it. And then
mhm,
before you know it, you don't need a therapist anymore. I mean, we do need understanding, and professional help
mhm,
can be critical. It worked for me because not because it made me change anything, it was just allowed me to view and understand what was really going on.
mhm,
But ultimately, it was me. I, as the one, through my physiology, was how I got it. And then it's a double edged sword because we get towed by our body. Excellent. We're feeling good. I'm strong. I'm powerful. That's where you can come unstuck because it's harder to stop than it is to start because you're feeling good. And then guess what? You'll stop using your body and then you'll go back to drinking and then you'll go back to eating shit food and you'll stop doing the work and you're still feeling good. And then you'll hit that wall and
mhm,
then it will just be a vicious cycle and you'll imprint, all these neuro pathways that
mhm,
of doubt with habit formation and the inertia because you once knew the elevation of
mm.
success and empowerment. Now you have to overcome that inertia and that doubt. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
really is straightforward.
Oh, I get that because I remember in my 20s, I could not exercise, and then I'd start exercising for 2 weeks, and I'd be in peak shape. And then I was able to maintain it, for a while, and then I'd slip, and it's been this back and forth yo-yo of up and down with exercise. Even though I love exercising, um, I was swimming when I was living in Weed. I was swimming 3 miles a week, and the only drawback was that they put chlorine in the pool. So I had to
Yeah.
stop swimming because 'cause I'm so sensitive to it, but, like, that level of energy and health, I love feeling that way. I'm not in a place
Yeah.
that has a pool right now, so it's like, "Okay, so what can I do?" So I walk every day, and and seeing the differences of, like, because when you get out of that state of movement, how quickly depression or anxiety kicks in because you're not allowing your body to have that I don't know another word. I'm hearing inertia, but is it inertia? Because
Yeah.
when we get it,
I don't
when
know.
we're
You're just being a lazy fuck. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, and I can say that because that was me. I didn't understand these things,
right.
I've been in that place. And the thing is, it's like it's evolutionary mismatch. I mean, the only reason you got to understand what's really going on. You have to
Mhm,
see the big picture. The only reason we can be lazy, apathetic, and complacent is because we're living off the consistent effort of others. This
mm,
entire food chain that we rely upon so heavily and makes things so convenient
mhm,
is run by millions and millions of men and women working their holes off. It's run by massive machines and networks of technology. I mean, there's all of this effort, all of this work going in just so we can eat our food and sit in our rooms and watch pornography and watch Netflix and mindlessly scroll and do all this crap and just be nothing. Just be
Right.
this fat consuming blob because you're addicted to little pleasure centers. Like, oh, that feels nice. Oh, I just rub matter on my tongue and it gives me a dopamine chemical
Mm,
reaction. Like, work is everything. You can't get around it. And it's going to catch up with you because I'll
oh,
tell you
yeah.
right now, there is one single force that runs the entire universe, the entire cosmos, every phenomenon, all celestial bodies, this planet, this every single organism, every single life form, it all runs off the compound effect. That consistent actions over time,
Mhm.
consistent actions lead to consistent results. And here's the
Mhm.
thing that people need to understand is that you are doomed. You are doomed if you don't actually change your life because
Mhm.
it's not the death that you have to be worried about. Death is painless. It's the dying, the
Right. Right.
long, tortuous process, the
Mhm.
degeneration over years or decades, and the pain and misery, and the financial cost, and the emotional toll, and just the pure suffering, man. And I mean, if you understand anything about the spiritual world, it doesn't end with the death. Your energy, everything is energy.
Mhm.
You that feeling that whether you're at peace or not, I mean that will reverberate and resonate, and you'll be trapped forever if you don't actually start to just make these simple little changes. I
Mhm.
mean, there's no stasis. It's all very well and good now, but then over the years, boom,
Mhm.
deceleration. Same thing. It's all very well and good now. Just keep working. Boom, acceleration.
Mhm.
And you don't have to wait for a time result. Like we all want things now and you can get them now. And what you can get now is the feeling. And
Right.
ultimately that's all you want. That's all
Mhm.
you want is a feeling. And you can access that now through either a good decision or a poor decision.
I completely agree with that because, like, it's this really interesting state of we get to choose
Mm.
how we wanna feel, how we wanna show up, how we wanna be, and, like, if I don't walk every day, I get so cranky because my body is waiting for the walk. It's like, "No, it needs to happen now because it doesn't feel good not to have that movement." And even if it's just an hour walk a day, it's still that movement and that presence with self, and then I add the meditation, and I add the journaling, and I have other practices that I do, and if I eat something, anything, that my body isn't nourished by, ooh, it is not pretty. It's not pretty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's immediate. It's immediate. Once you have that clarity, it's immediate. And like we're supposed to move. I mean, that's why we have flat feet. We're
Mhm.
supposed to travel. We're supposed to traverse.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fundamental. And people think, oh, health and fitness, you know, it's not health and fitness, it's life,
Mhm.
life force. That's what we
Right.
take it all for granted and we don't understand the big picture. I mean, look at animals. Animals don't get depressed. They don't get
Right.
anxiety. I mean, it's all work. I mean, that's the nature of life. I mean, look at everything. Everything is working damn hard out there. It all
Mhm.
takes work. And what you got to understand is work is worship. It's just people
Mhm.
think of work is rocking up in some artificial environment to provide some service from some destructive business that doesn't actually provide value to the world. It does not
Mhm.
serve. It only takes.
Right.
But true work is service, and
Mm.
that is your worship. That's how you align with the creator. The creation becomes the creator because you are doing work. You are bringing things of value and beauty into this world, and
Mm.
that's where you want to be. That's the place to be.
I love
Active
that.
service.
I love that because, like, I feel when I am present to that state of co-creating, I feel the heart resonance. And it doesn't matter if I'm doing a podcast, if I'm helping an animal, if I'm making sourdough, or if I'm cooking, or I'm just walking in nature, having the presence of the co-creation of my experience, that awareness, it just it does feel like worship because I'm actively participating in it instead of doing this mindless activity. It's a conscious decision.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And that's why the body is just foundational, because it just one stops on the other, body and then the mind. And then when you actually get that body organized, then your mind clears up. And
Mhm.
then you haven't got all this bullshit floating around in your head, all these things rattling around, and then
Mhm.
they actually come into alignment. And that's the whole
Yeah.
point of being the unified man, or the unified woman. And just as a side note for the audience, my book, I just called it a unified man because obviously it's a man written by a man to a young man to his young self. Above all, it just sounds cool. I mean, if I
Mhm.
called it a unified person, it just sounds crap. It sounds weak. Like, so it's for all creatures, great and small. It's
Mhm.
this thing. So anyway, that's how you get that unity, body and mind. And then once
Mhm.
you get that clarity, then you can actually really start to get that conscious presence and access that higher source. And then from that higher source, then you can actually, receive insight and unlock your genius. And I mean, and
Mhm.
that's the point. I mean, we're all a unique shard of the universal animating source. Every single one of us. I mean, we're all unique, but we're not as unique as we think we are. We just all have a unique ingredient to
Mhm.
add to the recipe that is planet Earth, to
Mhm.
create beautiful and amazing things, to bridge that gap between nature and technology,
Mhm.
to ascend above our current ways of life and ways of being and understanding and reach that higher level that is within us all at all times.
Mhm.
So that unique ingredient is our own shard of genius. Um, but it's the same process for everybody to get there. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
What we're going to receive, we don't know what we're going to receive. And I can't tell you what you can receive. Only you have to do it. I can show you how to access it, but
Mhm.
you're the one that will have to access it and do the internal work. I can't channel your consciousness for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger can't get someone else to do his bench press. It's just the
Right.
way it is.
Right, right. No, I love that differentiation because like, yeah, it's great to have assistance, like, and to have accountability and to work with others to get that inspiration, but ultimately it's our own choice. And that's hard for some. It was hard when you start the journey because you have that awareness of, oh shit, I'm responsible for myself.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
that's like that alone is like, oh wait a minute, like I can't blame anyone else for me. I made all of these choices for myself for me to learn from, and that means I can't be a victim, I can't be a perpetrator. I am. And ow, I don't want to, you know what I mean? It's like that early state
Yeah.
of like,
Oh yeah.
oh, wow. And
Ugh, cringe.
yeah, and so yeah, having people to assist you in that in moving through that is great, but ultimately you're the one that has to do it.
Yeah, I mean that's the process. All of the answers are within, but we need someone from without to show us. I mean that's the nature of being a human being, and
Mhm.
that's where we all go wrong is because there are lack of role models. There's no one showing it. We don't have good examples.
Mhm.
We haven't got, the process of initiation from a ritual elder, from, a
Mhm.
spiritual leader, from a shaman, if you will, or even
Mhm.
just a father or a mother, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because most of the time it's just kids raising kids.
Right.
Most men die as a little boy in an old man's body and vice versa with
Mhm. Mhm.
women because we haven't had that true process of initiation that's showing us how to get over ourselves so that we can look back within ourselves, show us that process, and that's
Mhm.
what's so critical is yeah, it's just critical. It's just the way that it is. A ritual initiation into,
Mhm.
maturity, leave
Mhm.
behind all the infantile impulses that we
Mhm.
are so naturally are born with, all those primal drivers, and
Mhm.
actually, take reins and be able to steer and conduct ourselves in alignment with a higher manner, with a more
Mhm.
mature, powerful manner instead of just, yeah, self-destructing.
Yeah, no,
Because here's
I
the
can
thing. Here's the thing. Because I put it like this: the superhero and the supervillain, they both have massive power. They
Mhm.
both have the ability to exude force. The difference between them is their character. The supervillain, he's just a prick. He's miserable. He hates himself. He's got all this all this yucky, murky crap inside him, and he
Mhm.
takes it out on the world.
Mhm.
Whereas the supervillain, a superhero, he has the internal battle within. He's trying to be that strong man, that strong woman, trying to consolidate and be that shining light, be that
Mhm.
beacon to help the world. And that's the difference, is
Oh,
character.
yeah.
And that's what the
Yeah.
whole process is character.
I love that. I love that you're reminding me of a time, back in 1998, I ran for state senate in Maine, and
Wow.
it was a fascinating experience. And one of the
Oh,
things
I
was
bet.
the instances coming through is I went to a fundraiser with insurance companies. I was a Girl Scout until I was 18. I'm like really like, yeah, I know. Like got the gold award, did the whole thing. And so I'm like I'm like an ethical good girl. And the insurance company's like, well, how are you going to vote when insurance things come up? And I'm like, well, I'm going to vote for what my constituents want because I'm representing my constituents. And I'm not being innocent. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest with my soul. And he laughed at me, said, well, you're not going to be in office long. I was like, I have to sleep with myself. Like, this is me
Yeah.
being 28. I'm like, I have to sleep with myself. I'm not being naive. I know exactly what you're trying to say. I have to sleep with myself. And he's just like, you're not getting this. I'm like, no, no, I'm getting this. And I lost, but it was just like this really fascinating like line in the sand of like, oh, you're being asked to compromise your your compassion for others for a donation. And it felt so icky because it was like, but you're not electing me. Like the people in Portland, Maine are electing me. Like I want to represent them because they're electing me. Like not you because you're just giving me money. These people actually believe in me. And and so it was this really fascinating awareness of how, oh, this is interesting, like how we can be tempted away from who we are.
Yeah. Yeah, damn straight. The temptations of the material world. And I mean,
Mhm.
welcome to power. Take control of the throne and the throne takes control of you. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the way it works is because when you are handed a position of power like that, it's not like no man or no woman rules alone. There's already
Mhm.
an established network, all the
Mhm.
keys to power, the general, the insurance agency, the health minister, the education minister, whatever. There's all these vested interests in
Mhm.
play, and all these vested interests have that division within themselves. They're just, hungry and greedy, and it's just human nature. It is
Right.
human nature to the uninitiated. It's immature. So when you get that position, you have to sell your soul in that structure to retain your power. And what is the price of and like again, there's nothing wrong with power. You just have to
Right.
understand what's going on here.
Mhm.
And you know, you have to sleep with yourself, your conscience. If even if you look at the global construct of domination, all these people that run it, it's a part of an inanimate system, an
Mhm.
omnivorous system that just doesn't have a face because it's a collective. Most of these people, you look at their bodies, they're distorted. You look at their eyes, you can see the emotional pain.
Mhm.
They've sacrificed their souls, for the apple of Eden.
Yeah.
They've sacrificed their full bodily, healthy, authentic expression in the pursuit of clutching the material world.
Right.
And that's the biggest trick in the world. I mean, that's the Satan says, the biggest, greatest trick was to convince people they didn't exist. It's because they got them adopted with taste. That flavor, that candy, nothing tastes so sweet, but all it costs is your purity, your morality, your sense of
Yeah.
self, your consciousness, and your self mastery. That's what it costs. Your
Mhm.
dominion with self.
Yeah. Well, one of the gifts I've been given, that my little 10-year-old, I will credit her for that. I still have my innocence intact, and I'm
Yeah.
55. which is amazing.
Are you sure about that?
I feel it. I feel it because I
Feel
cry when I
pure.
see. Yeah, it's like this is the most um priceless thing I have within me is that innocent state because I know how fiercely I protected it.
Mm.
I mean, to the point of like numbing myself out for 30 years. But it was like it was that like I recognize that was part of the programming to keep me safe. But the fact that I still, I mean, I can talk to trees because I
Yeah.
have that purity within me to not fall into the trap of your what you're talking to your car talks to you what like that doesn't even affect me because it just does. And so that innocent child part that sees that animals are my friends, that
Yeah.
doesn't see that never anything of this world didn't really make sense to me. That's the collective energy didn't make sense to me. So like it's because I wasn't meant to play in it.
Mm.
And so the fact that I haven't been like I've done stupid stuff, but I haven't let that curious innocent part of me to be destroyed by our world. Um
Yeah.
that's I'm not proud of it, but I'm grateful that I still have it.
Oh, damn straight. And that's the thing. None of us ever lose it. It just goes dormant.
Right.
It just goes dormant. We all have it. I mean, and
Mhm.
that's exactly a point that I make to people is especially accessing that higher self, that ultra conscious within, that
Mhm.
unique shard, the unborn entity within. It's
Mhm.
always there. And we had it as a child because look at children. They're playful, they're curious, they're unbridled, they're
Mhm.
inhibited, sorry, uninhibited. They're sharing. They like to have fun. I mean, look at it. Every child, there's no children aren't born psychopaths or narcissists.
Right.
They're fun, they're sharing, they might be cruel, but they're not evil, they're not
Right.
nasty, you know what I mean? They're
Right.
just it's just the way that it is. They have all of this energy, all of this expansion.
Mhm.
But then we get, the lottery draw of the parents that we get, and then the indoctrination system, and then eventually we get taught to torture ourselves, and then the
Mhm.
contraction begins. We close off, we shut off, we all get tight necks because we literally have a muscular constriction armor to stop us from feeling and connecting with our heart
Mhm.
forms around the back of our head because of the overanalyzation of information.
Mhm.
We lose it and it goes dormant because it's in here. It is
Yeah.
in here, but it's also in here. It's a
Mhm.
circuit. They need to be connected to have
Mhm.
the full energy expression of the situation.
Mhm.
So and like you say, the ability to communicate with all forms of life because it is an illusion. The whole thing is just a quantum unified field of consciousness. The
Mhm.
whole thing, and that's why you feel connection. You can feel energy. You can, um, and when you tap into that and connect with that, life recognizes life, and then
Mhm.
it can feel you. Because all of the other creatures and organisms, they don't have all the the mess that we
Right.
have.
Right.
That's why. That's why they come to you and why they all do all the stuff that they do is because they
Mhm.
haven't got the mess to untangle and
Right.
why you can hear them so clearly because as soon as you untangle your mess, you get the message.
Right. Right. And they want to talk. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, and they will have and they just speak a different language. That's why I love that because it's a
Mhm.
different language. It's a universal language. They
Right.
speak in imagination, intuition, sensation, feeling. It's a different, deeper intelligence. So yeah, I love
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Oh, get me excited. Oh yeah, let's talk, baby. Let's talk.
No, I get it. I had the experience last year when I was up in Orcas Island in Washington State and a redwood um demanded like literally like I heard the conversation that I leaned like I was at there was the Salish tribe in Washington was had the Braves canoe around the islands, which canoeing on the ocean is a big thing. And so they come and we have a potluck for them. And So all the tribal members are there, and I'm getting pulled like this on my tippy toes to
Yep.
stand next to the cedar, and I'm like getting her energy pulling me back. And she says, "Meditate with me." Well, I've never had a tree say that sentence to me before. I felt it, but I've never actually heard it. When I finally got the courage, because she was really intimidating, to sit with her, she just started downloading. And I felt the download. And within 5 minutes, I got a headache. And I'm like, honey, you can't download everything to me in the space of like one meditation. And it was really fascinating because like some of them really just want to like imbue a connection, and like they're waiting for the person that can feel them to connect. And for some reason, the whole kin of redwoods, cedars, and sequoias love to talk to me. So I guess I'm one of those beings that gets to have conversations with them.
Well, that's it because they don't get to do it anymore. Here's the thing, you go back, centuries, millennia, whatever. There was plenty of people to talk to back then
Hmm.
because people were connected, they were in tune. Now they got no one to talk to.
Hmm.
They have no conduit. I mean, they're all connected. I think and this just sort of come to me now. It's like they're all connected to the greater force and the deeper intelligence, but it isn't. It's like us being bipedal and upright. It's like you look at all the other organisms, vertebrates. Their spines are horizontal to the earth, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And their eyes face forward, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
They don't receive the higher connection with the absolute like we do. Our spines are erect and our eyes are perpendicular.
Hmm.
That's that antenna, that spinal column, that energetic matrix.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like the lower forms want us to be able to, connect and communicate, and again, just complete the loop.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, that's just a thought I just got.
No, I
So
love that. I
something
love
just spoke to
that.
me.
That totally makes
So
sense
yeah,
because like when I started talking to trees, I was in Portland, Oregon, and this big cedar talked to me. And then she tells me when I go down to Mount Shasta that I get to bring her energy down to Shasta. Then the Shasta trees tell me to bring energy up to Portland and then Orcas. And then the trees in Orcas want me to bring the energy back down to Shasta. It's just
that's
fascinating.
cool.
It's like,
That is
okay, so I'm
fascinating.
literally a conduit. I mean, they're all interconnected, but me as a human sharing the information in some capacity, I don't really understand it, but I don't have to. I just know it is, right? And
No.
that's the part of the
Yeah.
brain that's like, because my left brain, highly developed historian, like wants to understand it. And so I send it off on like, go study this aspect of quantum physics and then you'll understand it. And then the right brain of me is like, no, I already got it because that's the intuition.
Yeah, I already know. Yeah,
Right.
I already know. And that's the thing. It's like the deeper force within, that unborn entity within, it already knows everything. It knows and sees everything at all times. And
Hmm.
as soon as we get out of our own way, we can like tap into that.
Yeah.
And as you said, we want to understand, but at the end of the day, we don't even have to. What's important is that we feel it.
Right.
That's what's most important.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what animates life, and that's what gives us all of our fulfillment is our feelings, and
Mhm.
not just like, oh, I'm hungry, that tastes good. The actual deeper connection with the universal awareness and universal energy.
Mhm. And for some reason, this came into my field. So when I eat or when I drink water, I bless, like whenever I fill up my water container, I bless it. And when I pray over the food, I really try to connect with, if I'm eating meat, which I hadn't for a long time and I am now. I
Good.
pray over the animal. I pray over the animal and I
Yeah.
thank it for its contribution to my energy field. And I pray over the vegetables and the fruits and the everything else because I want to not only honor it, but imbue it with an energy that will help me elevate myself as well.
Yeah, damn straight. When you give intensity and attention to things, they animate, they become alive. I mean,
Mhm.
even if you're writing or sending a text message, or yeah, like you said, the water bottle thing, and that's what I've been doing now in my daily process. is just coming back, moving slower, breathing slower, and
Mhm.
talking slower to bring that present energy in. And then once
Mhm.
you actually have that present energy and you unlock, that universal power, then the space becomes sacred because
Mhm.
your whole field has then changed. Then your whole frequency vibration, it is now turned into a sacred space, and you can
Mhm.
really, as corny as it sounds, you can make your life special. You can make
Mhm.
every little tiny thing around you special. And because everything is special, it's
Yeah.
just we forget that. We're too busy in the future, or we're too busy in the past. We're
Mhm.
not here. We don't understand. We don't. That's that's why we're lost. That's why we're
Right.
always lost
Right.
because we're not here. We can't. You can't find yourself in the future or the past.
Mhm.
When you're here, you got to understand that past and future and present, it all exists simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's just our artificial construct by building clocks and calendars.
Mhm.
We think that time is linear. It's not. It's universal at all points, at all times.
Mhm.
So yeah, fuck
No.
yeah. Fuck yeah.
No, I totally hear that. I totally hear it because it's like, one of the journeys I've had is like how I remember about like 3 or 4 years ago, like, how do I be more graceful? And that was the question that came into my consciousness, and I heard, "Be more graceful." Like, I don't know what that means. Because, like, I don't know, I'm not a gr like, I had anxiety my whole life because I wasn't slowing down and listening to my body express its anxiety so I don't have it anymore. It was really me just being present with myself, and that was a message that came through that, like, "Just slow down, honey. Slow down. You can still drive your fast car, but be present in it when you're driving." You don't have to,
Calm
like
down. It's all good.
right, you don't
Yeah.
have to, like, yeah, the adrenaline can go up every once in a while, but, like, the natural state is being parasympathetic, not sympathetic. So why don't you like focus on how do you bring yourself more into presence, regardless of what it is, so you can enjoy your life more?
Yeah. Damn straight. And that's the thing. It's like I heard it the other day. There's a difference between excitement and feeling powerful. Excitement is a surge, is a rush.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas being powerful is ever present. It's calm,
Mm,
it's collected, it's having your attention on that 0 point of experiential awareness. And the thing about that place is that's the absolute. I mean, there is nothing more sacred, nothing more divine than that is ultimate power. And the beauty of it is once you find that place, no one can touch it, no one can affect it, and no one can take it from you because
mm-hmm.
nobody gave it to you. You gave it to
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So it's
Mm.
yours to keep forever.
Mm, that was beautiful.
Want it?
So I'm going to ask you one final question, and that is, how
Sure.
can people find you?
Oh, simple. Instagram. It's just Neil Fisher, Neal, A for Apple, NEALFISHER _ just on Instagram. You'll see my head with red scorpion tail. Facebook's the same, Neil Fisher, but there's a million Neil Fishers. Or just go to my website, which is just www.theunifiedman.com.au. But yeah, just hit me up on Instagram, man. I'm here. I've got plenty to say. I've got plenty to talk about. And
Awesome.
you go to my website too, you get the link. It's the first thing that comes up. It's the link to my book. It's on Amazon. And unify that world, become that person, bridge that division, and
Mm-hmm.
basically unlock your genius potential. Because the thing is, it's all about building that nation from within. And that's what the book's all about. And why do I call it building a nation from within? It's because it's about taking full command and control of your internal territory. Because
Mm,
the thing in life is that we don't own anything. We can't own a single thing because the earth owns us. We are just merely um, blessed to be able to walk this earth. The only true possession we have is our body and our physical presence. That's it. So that's where you put the most effort. That's where you put the most attention because ultimately that is the center of our life and it's the center of our ability to affect everyone's life around us. So
mm.
Start there and end there. And if you focus on that, you'll be at peace.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me, for your wisdom, for your beautiful conversation with me. And I'm just so grateful to know you.
Oh, fantastic. What a time to be alive. I mean,
Hmm.
holy, life is good.
Indeed, it is. Thank you.